This thing's just thinking forever.
So what's it doing?
Well, it's just not,
Usually the operator on these things.
yeah, I'm sure it's not.
Can I swipe mine in? It's up there.
Oh,
Right.
Okay, there we go.
Perfect.
Okay.
It's looking official here.
Okay, here comes Kevin.
How's it going?
So, we'll go ahead and bring this meeting to order. Did everybody at least get a chance to read the agenda and the minutes? We have a motion to approve as written.
I would move to approve the agenda and minutes as presented.
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're good to go there, so let's
Okay,
move
great.
forward.
Okay, as far as housekeeping items, the only two events coming up that we'll need sponsors for is Fall Fest and Winter Fest, so keep that in mind if you're so inclined.
So
So
any
that's
specific areas within those? or-
yeah, so for Fall Fest, it's basically to sponsor the bouncy house and face painting. We'll need that, and things like that. And as far as Winter Fest, it's fireworks, again, so.
But you had no, that was 4th of July.
Yeah, we just had that, yeah. So those are big ticket items of what we'll need and, yeah. As far as farmers market goes, that is holding its own. Luckily, we keep having people sign up for spots, so it seems to be a thing now, so that's good.
Good.
And we're averaging decent attendance during it. We're about every half hour. There's between about 300 or 400 people down there at a given time, so
Well, that's
we're
awesome.
doing pretty good on that. There won't be a farmer's market this Thursday because we just had the 4th of July event, so we skip a week, but then it'll be back next week, so. And then the next thing, so everyone's aware of as well, is what movies at the park. The next one will be on Thursday, July 25th. I was out of town for this last one, but I heard it had pretty good attendance and there's a lot of folks around. So it will be Thursday, July 25th, basically at sunset. Movie will be Firehouse Dog, and it's sponsored by Cascade Natural Gas. It's basically a fire department theme, so each one of these movie events, we basically have one of the city departments run it. So the last time was financing administration, and then this time, for this month, it's the fire department. So we'll have fire and EMS down there. And I know Chris with Murray's Rustic Pie is bringing his fire truck cooker, because apparently he has an oven and a fire truck now that cooks pizza. So he'll be bringing that down as well. So that'll be themed for the July 25th day. And then Sportsman's Warehouse is providing like ice cream and s'mores and stuff like they did last year. So. But so far, it seems to be holding good and good attendance.
Good.
Yep.
You're running good feedback at the store,
Oh, good. Good.
Same with farmers market.
Well, and we bought a stronger projector too, so we can start it a little earlier now. We don't have to wait until it gets pitch black out.
Yeah.
So we still have to wait a little longer than we'd like, but there's technological limitations to how early we can start that outside, so. So yeah, that seems to be going pretty good too. Other stuff just to let you all know about the micro business assistance program. I'm hearing that they got about double the amount of applicants as last go around, so With that, the city's gonna look at doing what it can to maybe increase the contribution going into next year, cause it seems to be filling the need, so we'll do what we can to, make that happen. I mean, at least in our budget, we have 7,200 a year. I'm gonna see what we can do, maybe get it up to 14,000 or so. But the last time, we basically paid for one applicant and we ended up getting two in there. And then I know, so far they've gotten over like 35 applications, and of those, I've been told around 8 of them are college placed people.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah.
And they just hired a new program manager. Her name is Cynthia. Today was her first day.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay, good.
And she replaced Janet, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so Jenna's been gone for over a month, maybe month and a half. But if you want, I could bring her to one of these
I
meetings.
think that would be good.
Okay.
To understand the pathway forward. Because
Okay.
I know Jennifer Beckmeyer's been trying to hold everything together during this weird interim period,
Yeah.
so. Okay, well, good, so that's going on, and the last thing, and I just want to get everyone's opinions on this if you were all there. So last night was Freedom Festival, and they had really good attendance from what we saw last night. So we had live music, Splitting Atoms played, we had quite a few vendors, and then good fireworks show. We had city staff taking attendance about every half hour manually with like clickers. And every half hour, we were ranging between 1,100 and 1,500 people. down
Wow.
there. So,
Yeah.
I just want to open it up for anyone that was down there, what worked, what didn't. Is it, any thoughts? Oh, you did that. I know Kelly was down there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, we were busy. No, I felt like everything ran very smoothly. I thought they did a good job, and I didn't come up with any suggestions of anything. Yeah,
Were you there as a vendor?
uh-huh, yeah. Sold a ton of maple bars. Yeah, and some of the vendors ran out of stuff. We did not this year, because we doubled our amount, but, yeah, some of the vendors did, so. It was a good turnout,
Yeah,
yeah.
Did you have more vendor spots available?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we had a lot more food this year, because
Yeah.
that was the complaint last year,
Uh-huh.
that there wasn't enough variety. So the boosters had a booth, Callie had a booth, there were 2 pizza places down there. Then Bright's Candies had like an ice cream truck down there too. So.
We had crepes
Yeah, crepes was down
and
there.
tamales, and they made it where you could just buy just a few at a time. You didn't have to buy like a dozen, exactly, which was nice. And the same with the pizza. They sold it by piece instead of just necessarily by slice. So, yeah, it was a good evening.
Yeah, and the band played a 3-hour set, so that
Wow.
was pretty good
Mhm.
too. The only issue we had near the end was some traffic control.
Oh, really?
Because down at 12th and College, people were actually trying to bypass the red light and cut through the Beeline parking lot, and we had an issue. Yeah, there were quite a few close ones over there, because
Oh.
people were going right around through the parking lot to bypass the stoplight.
Oh,
Every morning it's the same way.
Yeah.
really?
Well, we're actually gonna run an ordinance through to try to stop that. So here's the interesting thing, because I inquired about that, because when I've been on my bike, I've had a couple of close calls over there. Apparently, there is no RCW or state code that forbids people from like cutting through parking lots to skip red lights. And everyone who has that actually has to do it through the municipal code, and no one ever added it to our code. Yeah, so right now, it's like this legal loophole where people can bypass that way. But we are gonna add it to our code because it's getting to be an issue.
At least in that spot, I don't know about any other spots.
We've had people cut through the Umpqua Bank
Yeah.
parking
Oh,
lot and then
yeah.
the gas station at the university go through
That's
there
right.
now. So it's getting to be a pretty big issue lately.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not enough time to stop at a stoplight.
I know. Yeah,
That's
and
kind of
then-
sad, you
And then
know?
the only other issue we had last night,
You'll
but
probably text
that
them.
falls under the category of people being idiots, is that we had the gate going to Walmart locked where we had like a chain around it. And apparently some people decided to jump the fence and go like right near where we were blowing the mortars at. So,
Oh.
that was interesting. So luckily we got them before we started lighting them, because that wouldn't have been too good.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and then there were some people who were trying to park on the shoulder of 125 on the other side to watch the fireworks. So
Oh.
we had to keep having patrols flush them out because they were actually stopping in the traffic lanes to go watch the fireworks.
Oh.
So.
Mm.
Yeah, the event itself seemed to go okay, but as far as just people being really stupid on some stuff, that's more of a societal thing, I
Yeah.
would say, than an event thing.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
okay. Well, that's good that no one saw issues with it, so. The next thing, and I don't know if people had a chance to review or not, is the various improvements to the code, the development code. So a lot of it is cosmetic to make it where folks can find things better. We're in the draft Unified Development Code. There's like a table of uses where people can track what's allowed and what isn't. And then in the draft sign code, it's really just essentially saying certain signs of signs, size of signs. If you're gonna have a temp sign when you're done with an event, take it down, don't leave it and let it rot and deteriorate like
Mhm.
many do, unfortunately, and that becomes our problem. And then just it sets forth an application and then also a process for signs to be deemed historic for historical buildings and so forth. And then basically prohibited signs, so ones that cause a safety nuisance or things like that. So it just really cleans up our existing code pretty much. And then it also satisfies a recent court case that went through the Supreme Court called Reed versus the Town of Gilbert. And what that Supreme Court case said is that what many cities would do is instead of regulating signs based on size and placement, they actually regulated a lot of cities in the old days regulated signs based on content. So like what were they? If they were a business sign or a real estate sign or a church sign. And what that court case said is you can't do that. It has to be either by location, the size, it has to be what the sign is, not what it says. So that this code really takes that into effect, where it basically satisfies that Reed versus Town of Gilbert opinion that came out of Arizona. And then for the home business standards, Planning Commission just tweaked a little bit what you all passed a while back, just putting it into certain areas as far as applicability, permitted uses, where they listed everything numerically. And then some conditions of approval, but it didn't really change the content, it was more cosmetic amendments to it. But that's really what's all before you. Yeah, this is trying to streamline the code with what needs to exist currently.
Now, on the prior one there, I had a couple of questions. There were lots of comments in the column where it looked like is this now finally the final, or are we still waiting for some of that to get completed?
This is basically the final answer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I went through it pretty carefully. And that was really my only question is when I saw the comments in the margin is, okay, are there gonna be any further tweaks to it?
I went through it, and I didn't have any issues.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, the only tweaks that there could be is if plan and commission like decides to tweak stuff, but they always could, same with council, so.
but at this point, we're not looking at seeing any other changes,
No.
so we can recommend that this move forward.
Yeah, and then plan and commission could grapple with it itself at that point.
So, I mean, and unless anybody else had gone through it and had any questions, I agreed, I didn't have any issues with it. What I read, I thought it was pretty well written. So if we could have a motion to recommend that this get moved forward to the planning commission or?
Planning commission, because
To the
they'll go to planning commission, then they'll debate a bunch, and then it'll go to council after that, so.
And you want this as a whole package?
Yeah,
Okay.
because
so-
that's how it's going to them.
So if we can have a motion to move this package of codes forward to planning commission?
I'll make a motion to move the packet forward to the planning commission.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, fine, unanimous there.
Okay, great. Okay. Great, now move forward to planning commission then. And then the next thing was potential economic development incentives. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that, but I've been trying to figure out ways to make the city a little bit more marketable for various commercial interests, because the issue we have is that 2 miles from here, right when you get into the Oregon border, Oregon just does all this stuff like by itself, the state does it. Meanwhile, in Washington, a lot of the programs that like Oregon just does and offers to people is forbidden. But in talking with other cities at the city managers conference, there are some loopholes to some things where you can offer incentives. You just have to look at it in like a different way, for instance. So one option is Lake Stevens up in basically King County, but they're not near Seattle, they're like out on the fringe a little bit. What they did, because they had a similar situation to us where they didn't really have any light industrial property at all. They were a bedroom community and they were trying to get some light industrial stuff. Is apparently there is an RCW that exists where if you delineate your business corridors or certain areas as being like prime for some light industrial manufacturing, and the folks basically sign a commitment to operate in the respective light industrial business for 5 years or more, you can, believe it or not, actually offer a property tax exemption for a light industrial business, which I did not know because I was always told up until about a month ago that you could not do any sort of like tax increment financing type
Yeah, I thought it was
thing.
against the law in
Yeah.
Washington.
But apparently there was a loophole that was put in place in like 2009 for communities that are like deficient on light industrial. And the interesting thing is with us, we are. So their hallmark is if you're basically below like 5% of your land mass is industrial, and we're at 1%.
Oh,
Which is basically that warehouse that does like the wine racks out
Mhm.
on Whitman. Yeah, out on Whitman Drive, and there's like a little bakery thing in there, but that's it. And we do have some areas that would be primed to do a little bit of light industrial, like for instance, Martin Airfield, since we were made to keep that in the UGA, the future land use out there is light industrial, so stuff could go on the far edge of it. And then there is some stuff out on Mike McKiernan's property on the southern edge that could potentially have some of that as well. So this, we would have to petition basically to the state and get them to certify it. But in talking with Lake Stevens, apparently they just got a letter back saying they were certified after they did that, and they've been doing this for a while. and no one's appealed it, and they're having people move in and having light industrial businesses, so it seems to be a decent program. So I was wondering what your thoughts are on that, because I didn't even know this loophole existed until about a month ago.
Is it just 5 years?
So as far as the yeah, yeah,
No, I mean as far as the effective.
yeah, yeah, then it just goes up to the full amount.
What
Yeah.
happens if they don't make it to 5 years?
Then whatever the, property taxes, essentially they basically owe it proportionally, from whatever was left.
Do we have proposed sites for where we might want to recruit people into those, or is this dependent a little bit on our UGA approval?
Well, there's still a bit of it dependent on the UGA approval. The areas we can play with right now with this is basically the Martin Airfield area, because that's light industrial. And then there's a little segment of Mike McKiernan's property that this would apply to as well. And the strange thing is with this, it isn't, unfortunately, it's not like commercial or office, it's like light industrial type stuff only.
But Martin Airfield, for instance, depending on what that was, if it's gonna create traffic, we've got an issue.
Unfortunately, the thing I grapple with Martin Airfield is almost anything you do out there, there's
Well, there is.
there's a bit of an issue. And I mean, on one side, if we did have some light industrial use out there, and let's say that they employed people and they got this, maybe that would allow some money on the back end for them to funnel more into improvements and stuff like that, where whoever hypothetically would go out there could maybe pony up a bit more than they would otherwise.
Well, we almost have to require it.
Yes.
because Infrastructure is inadequate.
Yeah. Well, from talking to the guy out in Lake Stevens, the city administrator, you can put other requirements on this. So, I mean, for that area out in Martin Airfield, we could just caveat that, you know, you need to pony up on the public infrastructure piece.
Can we also at least recommend certain traffic patterns for them to keep them from plugging up what's already too busy?
From what I've read with this thing, it's up to the locality. So yeah. So
But
yeah,
if you put too many restrictions on it, then it just
true,
makes the incentive not worth it.
true.
So you're gonna have to have that
Yeah,
balance in that.
no, it does have to be balanced, but that, I mean, you're right, that's a challenging site, the way things have gone.
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly, most straightforward area is the area we're trying to get out to. As far as if the county is going to let us is a whole nother ball of wax. Because yeah, there's some in my backyard people out there, and that's a nice way to say it.
Well, hopefully we can settle that, however we're forced into doing it, before something went nuts and our 5% was used up out
Yeah.
at Martin Airfield.
Agreed. It's just with, it looks like it is a bit of an application, so that's why I brought this up, because if this is something we would want to do, there's some initial legwork to get that going.
So that gives us a little more time there.
Yeah, so I mean, what y'all could do is basically we work on getting this through and do the application for it, and then in the meantime, if it's your persuasion, essentially develop the regulations or caveats by which they would have to satisfy if they participated in this.
And if in the meantime the UGA gets approved, then we can move that direction.
Yeah,
Could change everything. a little bit.
true. Well, true, because I mean, that was the initial hope when I found this, it was just gonna primarily be out there and that'd be a fairly straightforward endeavor.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm certainly, I don't know how the rest of you feel. Personally, I feel like if we can put some sort of restrictions, at least on the Martin Airfield, that's the one I see as being the most challenging. And in many ways, I see the traffic patterns even a bigger challenge than some of the infrastructure. Coming towards the university, in my mind, is just not practical at all. We're already overloaded coming down Whitman. So if we were able to really twist their arm hard to go out the other direction, like out Last Chance, that if you're going to do this, this is where your traffic needs to flow, and if we can have some sort of a thing like that, then I'm really quite in favor of pursuing this, since there's that opportunity. I had no idea we had a loophole like that in Washington either.
I didn't know until I met Gene, because he started Lake Stevens, and they have an identical situation to us, and apparently they're using this thing all day long. So I don't blame them either.
What kind of traffic? Are you talking about like trucks coming through? You're just talking about people going to work? What kind of traffic are we talking about?
Yeah, like if it's a light industrial thing, let's just say it's a light manufacturing type thing that promotes, maybe you've got 50 or 100 employees that are driving, another 50 or 100 cars coming down with it. It doesn't make any sense. Not coming towards the university. We're
Well, you got
stressed
the
already.
housing developments and all that stuff, so it can be
Yeah, we're stressed coming that direction
Yeah.
already. We've got too many coming in just from the housing developments, so.
Well, I mean, unfortunately out there, we're coming in at the back end of this, because if you recall, the initial premise was to pull out the Martin Airfield because of that exact reason, and then save it, and then Mr. Corliss decided to do his deal and then because we went and burn a bunch of taxpayer money dealing with his team of attorneys, we backed out of that part, but then the county commissioners are getting all squirmish about Pepper's Bridge, even though we have a new well out there, so no one figured that one out, but.
If we adopted this, would it apply to any zone in the city, light industrial, or would we say it's specific to this piece of property?
So what I would say is you have to narrow it to certain areas. So I think the areas I would recommend that it be essentially narrowed to, and I would craft an application, would be the Martin Airfield area, Pepper's Bridge area, and then some of Mike McKiernan's property, because those are the areas where something could happen to that level.
And we really don't have any other land that's appropriate.
Yeah.
I'd ask, is there any other light industrial in the city besides those three that you mentioned?
The only other.
The one you talked about over on Whitman here
Yeah,
with it?
well, I mean, the only other one is that warehouse on Whitman. I mean, you could probably apply it to that, but all businesses in there seem to be content, so I don't picture them moving out anytime soon. That building's 100% leased right now.
Oh, is it?
the old Blaze Key building.
Yep.
I was just asking because I wanted to make sure you didn't exclude one,
Yeah.
because you could open yourself up right there. I mean, that'd be
Yeah, no, there's only two historically industrial buildings in town, and the one is the Blaze King building, and then the other is the one that the university owns that has like their maintenance folks in it over on Main Street, but, yeah, that's their thing, so, I don't see that turning industrial anytime soon. And given the fact it's in a residential neighborhood, that really would not be good, I would think, so.
Yeah.
Well, to me, you want to try to make it work,
Yeah,
because you got jobs,
yeah,
they make money right here, they spend their money right here.
yep,
I mean, it's a win-win for College Place.
yeah,
So, we need to build a couple roads, we'll figure this out,
yeah,
Mhm.
get our advantage.
yep. Yeah, so I mean, if you all want me to move forward and getting this application put in, and then while the state's doing its thing, we can figure out what conditions to put on it. That's why I would like to see motion that is of your interest.
So you can make the applications without the restrictions being in place?
Yeah. Yeah, because they just look basically at your property rate, how your economy is, the percentage of your land mass that's industrial, which ours is like none. So, in talking at Lake Stevens, it didn't hold them up, so I don't think we would be held up, because they just got it, so.
Well, and the restrictions really have to be kind of a practical item for any locale anyway. Seems like the state wouldn't be involved in that.
Yeah, because, I mean, in other states, you just essentially do your local legislation on top of the state stuff. So yeah, that's the first and seven, and then depending on what, you let me know your opinion on that, then we'll go to the second one, which is the Ferndale one I have in that agenda item.
Well, I think anything you can do to set yourself apart from other people you're competing against
Yeah.
is to your advantage.
Well, I know, and that's been my problem to begin with, the fact that we really don't have any sort of industrial base, and those are ones that have like family wage jobs, and then you have trickle down, and those folks end up going to Rogers Bakery, Andy's, and stuff like that, so we need to start building that base.
Well,
And,
if they can't drive into town.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, there needs to be some sort of a control
You're right, there is
an
definitely.
agreement.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just makes it scarier when you increase those numbers when you're coming right by, especially in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Not a good situation.
Yep.
So do we have a motion for Mike to pursue the Lake Stevens, the industrial exemption further?
Yeah, I would move that we
Second?
approve city staff.
Second.
Second.
Any other discussion about that?
And I just want to make sure it's on the record, that's for the areas outlined,
Right,
which
yeah,
is
Mhm.
for the-
Martin
Martin Airfield.
Airfield, Mike's property, Pepper's Bridge, if the county ever lets us out there.
Exactly,
Three.
right, include
Yeah.
the areas they're allowed to do that. Correct.
Yep.
And then any further discussion while we're on that? And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mike, unanimous there.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, and then the other item, which interested me, and again, this is a new one, that I was notified about, was the city of Ferndale, Washington, and that's heading up toward Bellingham. They have like a start of a downtown corridor similar to ours, and what they did is they developed this program to try to spur development in the downtown, where if you have a building or a business that's going in, where let's say that either there's a residential component or you're doing things that are like catalytic to the downtown, there's a rating system. And then with the rating system, depending on where you land, and then if their Economic Development Commission recommends that it's a good project, and then council approves it, they then offer discounts on like building permit fees and stuff like that to try to act as a local catalyst for like downtown development. And when I looked into this program, I definitely don't think this type of program would be good for a whole city, because like Myra Road and Meadowbrook, they're doing good on their own, but the areas where I think this would really spur stuff, and in fact really help implement like the design standards and the vision, is the core of College Avenue. Looking at this program, again, given all the restrictions, I wasn't even aware you could really like do this, but apparently, as long as you have a rating system where it's just like not you one time giving incentives, and then it goes through a commission body and then council, and then there's a contract with apparently for this kind of stuff, as long as it's out of general fund, you're good. So Ferndale, as you can see on the data on this, they just implemented this as a pilot project. Reading it, I think it's something to look at for here. I don't know if you all have read that, Lane, but,
So how deep a discounts are they giving?
huh?
How deep a discounts are they giving?
It ranges anywhere from like 25% in like building permits, up to like 75%. And then in the cases of, let's say if like a new building gets built, if it has like a residential and commercial component where you have that mixed use synergy going on, in that case, it can be up to 100% if it's like a full-on catalyst for the corridor.
So the rating system determines what the?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you need an action on that
Th-
tonight?
th- This one could actually be a longer wait time on it, because this would basically be an incentive we would be running in essence with city funds internally, so I'm not petitioning anyone to try to get it, so.
Because another one of my questions with our College Avenue, we have residences there, and I had time to scan that one, I didn't get into it real deep yet. Is there any kind of motivation for existing homeowners that are maybe using residential use to cooperate and possibly relocate them, or even locate them into a new building when it's done? What all do we have any other kind of incentives that could really even help enable that to happen? Because if these homeowners don't sell.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's been a problem with this from my reading of it, is that they were purely trying to use the motivation of basically the building permits, and then in addition to that, it looked like also a percentage waiver in concert with the county on like some of the real estate excise tax, like when you sell a place. To try to motivate people to bounce, but unfortunately you're really limited, because in this state you can't really be paying people to like go leave
No, you've got to figure out
a house unless you're going a street over it, but.
I mean, it's really almost coming up with a good enough offer where, you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what's it take to make me move?
Yeah, yeah,
That's where they're at.
yeah. Yeah, but I at least think it would help with some of these properties where there are some business interests that are like on the edge of doing something, where I think it may persuade a couple if there was something like this.
And there are sections down College Avenue that, I don't know who owns them, but the owners aren't staying there.
Yeah.
We're just renting them all out.
Well, I don't know if you remember a report I sent out a while ago, but the majority of those are actually the university. There's quite a few properties on College Avenue where there's like people living in them and stuff. That's not owned by private people, it's a university actually buying properties and like renting them out. Yeah.
And you just bought that blue house.
Yeah, you bought Mark Hernandez, yeah,
If you bought
Pineapple
that house,
Pete's.
you're gonna get it all leveled out, and you're gonna do something.
Oh.
What we're gonna do, I don't know. Business.
Good,
I don't know.
good. Well, that'd be good.
Is there enough room there to do commercial on the bottom floor and then do
Question.
I
4
know.
units or more up?
You know, we got the laundromat slash apartment building on site at Andy's.
Yeah.
Do something like that over there.
Yeah.
And then you can do something else with that on the property.
Yeah.
And we got where the car wash is, of course, there's that empty lot that.
I'll talk about that in the development activity part, yeah.
So we certainly have some area there that it would sure be nice if somebody would come in and do the mixed use concept.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the design standards, that was pretty much what it said would be encouraged, and random spots on College Avenue as redevelopment could either rehabbing old homes and then doing a split retail residential mix, or,
Yeah, they're finally starting to work on that building downtown Walla, corner of, the southeast corner of Main and Second, where they're doing that.
The old Ford dealership.
No, Main and Second around.
oh, the old Sterling
Yeah.
Bank.
Yeah,
over
that's
there.
Corliss is putting in a motel.
They're doing what?
It's a boutique motel
Yeah,
Oh,
with no
Oh.
parking.
yeah.
How many of those can this, I don't know, for boutique hotels, I question how many of those this area can support with the prices they charge, but
mm,
just me.
Well, that's why he bought that parking lot across from the post office, so he could use that for his valet parking.
oh,
Hmm.
huh.
Well, for this Ferndale thing, I would say read it and let me know your thoughts. If anyone has initial thoughts at the moment, though, or you want me to research anything else in the meantime, though, you should let me know. Because what I would like to do is if we're going to do this, I would like to tee it up enough where essentially I budget where the pilot monies are coming from for next year. As a pilot project in the fiscal year 2020 budget. So in order to do that, I need to really have a feeler if we're gonna do this or not, I would say by October, so.
Well, I think the main of the thing that's missing, the missing component for me there is, are there any incentives that we can throw towards the existing homeowner?
Yeah, and I would have to research if we're even legally able to do that. I'll tell you from the Ferndale example, no. And I would say from a legal standpoint, unless there's something I'm missing, which I'm not gonna say no to, because I have no Lake Stevens could do what they're doing. But I don't think you can do that unless you're building a road or water or something, like a public infrastructure.
This would just be less new money, not existing.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, well, let me know what you're all thinking, and we can have a greater discussion about that the next meeting. As far as development activity goes, I'll just give you a summary of some things that are going on here. So Villages of Fort Walla Walla, they can, which is that development over on Whitman Drive, they continue to turn in flooding plans. They just didn't realize how high the groundwater was over there, so they're having aquatic issues to say the least, because they just did not understand to the level that there's like bog areas out there. You could qualify the Hayden Homes Homestead development in the same light, unfortunately. They're currently dealing with a pretty perplexing stormwater issue because they didn't really size the stormwater basin properly. And when it rains, we've had an issue of it backing up because we found out they didn't put the proper size pump in. So there's been a lot of back and forth holding them to the standard that they agreed upon. I have sent a memorandum of understanding between us out to the Realtors Association because the issue that we have is that they signed a memorandum way back in January that set forth various things that they were going to satisfy by certain dates. And one of them was essentially the whole bog issue and street cave-ins and stuff, that all of that was going to be settled before we issued certificate of occupancy on the newer homes up on the bluff. And unfortunately, even though they all signed this document back in January, they have not satisfied all those conditions. And what was happening is instead of them taking ownership of the situation, they were trying to tell potential new homeowners moving into the Hayden Homes development that basically the city was evil, and we were holding up C of Os and they didn't know why, even though they signed the document back in January where they knew exactly why. So with that, I sent that MOU to all the realtors in the valley because I want everyone to know that they know why the C of Os are being held up, and what we're doing is, and it stinks that we have to treat the situation like they're children, but unfortunately it's getting to that point. is that basically every time they finally do something, I'm letting a couple of C of O's go, because what we're finding is that they will not do what was promised unless there's like something to like hold over them. So it's almost like we have to trade like 2 C of O's, and then I finally get a pump that works and stuff like that. So it's absurd, and it's taking a lot of time, but unfortunately, that's what we're having to do and make sure that we don't have an issue out there.
Hmm.
But it's something you all need to be aware of, because I'm sure you're gonna hear that around town, because there was some falsehoods going on about, oh, the city's evil because we're home to C of O's, and we're home to C of O's because the street caved in and half the bluff fell. Yeah.
I mean, even some of the homes out there have had water issues in the crawl spaces. It's just been, they haven't moved the water away.
Yeah, so pretty much what and they're trying to get out of it, but what we're trying to force them to do long term is that when they built that detention thing over at the end of Domes, they hit some groundwater deposit, and this thing is like naturally filling the whole lagoon up. So because it's not stormwater, it's actually a natural groundwater deposit. We think if they ran another line to Domes Creek, that we believe ecology would be okay with it, because it's not stormwater, it's just groundwater coming up, and they're always complaining to us that fish can't swim in the creek. Yeah, so we think that's the way forward, and they've been trying to fight us on it because they don't want to run the line, but it is what it is. So we're fixing it, but that's taking a lot of time dealing with them. So that's going. Hop Thief, which is the tap house brew pub thing down by Les Schwab, that's going really good. They just hooked into the water system, and we believe they will have their grand opening probably around the holidays,
Nice.
where it'll be completely done. There's also a fast food hamburger chain that's looking to go right in front of it now. So that's getting that going, as well as a hotel finally that was waiting for the food establishment to come in. Yep. Behind Home Depot, we're wrapping up the review of the site plan for the Human Bean, but they're going to be ready to go on that soon too, and they'll be the drive-through coffee place. The other thing that's actually moving forward that I didn't add to this list because it's very recent, and I can say it because from what I've been told, they bought the property, so we're good, is that what was called Whitman Crossing, which was that property that John Stager owned behind Banner Bank and Valvoline. Apparently, Goodwill wants a bigger location, and they don't want to pay like the higher rents. It's in downtown Walla Walla. So we're being told that Goodwill is going to move from downtown Walla Walla to College Place.
Oh, nice.
Across from Home Depot, where where that big lot's at. So we're having a meeting essentially on what the site plan's going to look like and everything else. But it's good to see that finally it looks like something is going to go there,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, with Penrose going in right next to it, I'm sure they want out of there.
Well, yeah, that's
Learn to do shortcuts.
so yeah, that's what they've been explaining. So that looks to be doing good, and then another business development is next door. Tito's doing some. I don't know if you wanted to get into your changes, Daryl.
Sure, yeah. It's, I mean, yeah, there's no secret. It's all happened. I sold the building. The building actually closed the end of last month. And today, the real estate franchise actually legally transferred to Tito, or some of you may know him as TJ Espinosa Jr. And he bought the building and the real estate franchise. Everything's going on there until we actually do move out of the area and retire. I'll still continue on as the designated and managing broker. So I'm guessing I'll be here until at least this fall, if not next spring. And then the Black Cup went away. In fact, we may take that with us to British Columbia when we go. We've got somebody that wants it over on the west side, but we haven't decided whether to turn it loose or not. And he is putting in something called the fresh lime, so there's going to be a fruit smoothie, and he'll also have some coffee, but it'll be like fruit smoothies and stuff, which there's really, I don't think we have anything like that in the area, so that's good.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we've got some,
So it's a combo like what you were?
yes, like what we were, except that instead of just coffee, he'll have some coffee, not to the extent that we did,
Uh-huh.
and then he'll be concentrating on the fruit smoothies
Uh-huh.
and maybe a few other snacks. And then he and his brother apparently also have some sort of a diet supplementary line, and so that'll be a storefront to move that product from too.
Gotcha. Oh, oh, good.
Him and his brother, when they were teenagers, both worked at Andy's, weren't
Really?
they? Oh, yeah.
So that's going on there, and then.
How
Karen,
soon do they-
My ultimate goal is to move back to British Columbia, so.
Wow. How soon does the sour lime plan to
He is
open?
hoping that is open within, the way they're going to work on it. They've been doing a lot on it, so I think it's quite realistic. It may be open within, by the end of the month,
Uh-huh.
maybe a little bit before.
Well, good deal. Yeah, we could definitely use
Yeah, I
smoothies
think it's
here.
something that'll fit real well.
Mm-hmm. I get asked for those a lot, and I just haven't wanted to tackle that.
Well, we did too, and we were worried about the fresh stuff, and we weren't ready to tackle on more. For one thing,
Yeah.
we really didn't, we purposefully did not want to get busy enough to have to deal with the payroll, because in real estate, everybody's independent contractors.
Yeah.
And with how much Karen and I could man the place, to have to start up a payroll for one person, I'm going, no, I'm an idiot, dude. Forget it, I'm not gonna do it. And so he will he will end up with a few people on staff on that, and then he may have to do some frozen. Our concern was for at least the amount of requests we had for it, was just spoilage alone,
Yeah.
working purely fresh.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
And then the other change as well is on the site right behind Home Depot next to Villages. We're in some advanced discussions with a higher end hotel that wants to do a convention center that could hold about 700 people.
Oh, that'd be
Right,
awesome.
and they want to basically anchor a town center development similar to University Village. If you've ever been by University of Washington, there's this really nice, like, walkable shopping center right on the edge of their campus called University Village. And basically, the developer and architect behind that are talking with the property owner over here. So that's starting to look really promising. And it's actually the first folks that seem to know what to do with our opportunity zones. That's a good thing, because that's been perplexing everyone. So, and then the other one is the car wash over here. So likely what looks like is going to happen with that, originally that was going to be set for Dutch Brothers, and then their corporate put an end to that. It looks like that the pizza guy from the farmer's market is going to do a design build over there and do pizza.
Oh, good.
The Marie's Rustic Pie.
Uh-huh.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, so it looks like it'll be a pizza place. So
Good.
that looks to be doing good. And then residential development is quite busy. Homestead, they're still doing a lot of work over there, but it's just trying to make sure nothing else like caves in or falls apart. It's been interesting. Villages of Fort Walla, we continue doing plans with that. Brandon Stepper and Stepper Edition. The apartments are being built right now. All of that has been approved and certified. So if you go to the end of Maple off of C Street, you'll see that that's going good. Country Estates, they have the first new double wide in there, and they're gonna try to fit 6 more. I don't know, when you look at the site plan versus going to the site, I can't visually see it, but maybe my eyes are wrong, I don't know, we'll see. But there's gonna be some, 6 more of those in there. Sermon development on Spitzenberg, from what I've been told, they're having problems, hitting the fire flow test up there, because it's that green tank district, it's not the city's water, so, we'll see what happens there. The Murray development, it sounds like they're gonna do a long plat and 2 short plats or something, so, it's going somewhere. And then Stone Creek development, we continue, to talk with the developer, wants to get Mike and Craig's property going, and then the Hanby project, which is right on top of the hill at College Avenue. We're about ready to permit a brand new apartment building up there. That was supposed to be next year, but they want to get a start and do it this year. So, a lot of stuff going on.
Wow.
So, any questions on that? Okay. Things I'll close with as far as just development projects that you're all aware of. As far as the new wells go, well number 4, which is now a replacement for well number 1 that failed. The hole has been dug, so that's a good thing. We'll be doing the flow test soon. From our initial test, it looks like it'll meet what we need it to, which is a good thing. We had to dig way deeper than we thought we were going to, though. That was permit. We originally paid for 700 feet, and to get the quantity of water we needed, we had to go at 838. So we had to go about 138 feet more to get to where we needed to go. So they're sizing the well house equipment. I would expect the new well at Christ Community Fellowship will be fully operational this fall. I would expect the equipment's all made to order, so they're building it now. That's what's taken so long. And the new loop line, we've also permitted that, so that's started already, hooking the new well to the system. The people that dug that well are now moving all the equipment over to Whitman and Maple to dig the replacement to well number 2. I would expect that well will be dug. I would expect late fall with it operational sometime in the winter. So we should finally be out of the well woes that we've been in the past couple of years. And then as far as road projects, C Street is going. There have been some delays because CenturyLink is not properly moving their lines or equipment. So we've sent them we've sent them a notice saying get off the poles or we are going to call them. So they've been put on alert because that's why you see 2 sets of poles right now, because they're messing up our time frame. So the plan is C Street between College and Damson. We should have that part fully done by September. And then we'll move to phase 2, which is C Street from Damson to Larch. And that's the part we think we're going to get a lot more discontent with, because you have all the folks that live on those cul-de-sacs, they have no way out. And it's hard for us to allow that stuff to remain open, because there's all sorts of utilities underneath. Green Tank has a line under there, we have a line, there's a bunch of wastewater lines. Apparently there's a Cascade natural gas line in addition to one that they told us was there, that no one knew was there, that apparently is like 2 inches from the surface. So C Street is getting to be very complex, but phase 2 will be done, we'd expect, by Christmas. And then probably within 3 weeks, we're going to start repaving Lamperti, the street down by Walmart. And we'll put in new trees with the ones that died, and then new sidewalk panels, because there's a bunch of them that heaved. And then we're going to start chip sealing soon, Date Street, and then 2nd Street by Kiwanis Park, and then a section of scenic view from Central to Larch. And that's like the rock material that we put on the roads, because that way it typically keeps the road okay for 10 years, and the local streets that aren't federally classified are only funded at a 200-year replacement level. So that's why we do a lot of that intermediary work to try to kick it out more. So, because yeah, the local unfortunately, you can only get grants for federally classified streets, and the only streets that can get that designations are ones like with traffic counts north of like 6,000. So anything below that, it's basically up to the city. And with declining the gas tax, that is not a good thing, so. So yeah, just be aware of all those projects that are going on, and we've sent notices to the C Street people. They're aware of everything. Yep. Well, that's all I have.
All right, well, thank you very much. Thanks all for being here.
Yep.